My name is Terence Houlihan and I'm here on the 8th of February 2017 in the home of Griffin, who lives just half a mile from Killorglin on the Ballykissane Road. His home is opposite the gates to St. Joseph's nursing home. I'm going to ask Con some questions about his life and times. So I'd like to start, Con, by asking you when and where you were born.
I was born in Avilan's Milltown in 1941.
So you were very close to Milltown there, were you?
Within a half a mile of Milltown village.
So you would have gone to school, would you, in Milltown?
Went to school in Milltown, the monastery in Milltown.
Do you remember any of your teachers that time?
I do. We had Brother Prudent, Brother Connet, Brother Munchin. They were the three brothers I remember there.
Were they tough teachers?
Very, very tough. Connet was a lovely man. Good teacher, lovely man.
Do you remember any of your classmates at that time?
Pat McKinney, his brother John Crone, who live in Killarney now. He's married Johnny Culty's sister.
That's Johnny Culty who was in goal for Kerry, is it?
That's a Kerry goalkeeper.
Yeah. Of course, there was a famous footballer over there too, by the name of John Cronin, wasn't there?
There was a famous John Cronin from Lyre.
So there was a good tradition of football.
There was a great tradition of football.
A lifelong interest in
Yes.
GGA, and
Yes.
we will come to that. How far did you go in school that time, do you remember?
I went to 8th class in the monastery. There was 7th and 8th class in the monastery.
That was unusual, was it? It was usually 6th class, was it?
No, because at that time there was no secondary school, you see. And the monastery used to be, if you went to 7th or 8th, it was like going to secondary school.
Yes.
At that time.
So what age would you have been when you left school then, Con?
I left school at 14 years of age.
And what did you do? What did you do afterwards?
I went working with a farmer for probably 3.5 years.
That was tough work, was it?
That was hard work.
That was sun up to sundown, was it?
Oh yes, 7 days a week.
And was it all year round work or was it just seasonal work?
You were just 8-9 months, and I worked for £8 a month. 7 days a week, small money.
And what would you be doing on the farm, Con?
You do everything, everything.
And were you living at home or were you living with the farmer and the
I
family?
lived with some of the farmers, and more times I lived at home. There were some good farmers, some unreal to the world.
And of course back here in Killorglin, there was the hiring fairs
Right, yes.
up the main street, wasn't there?
That's right, yeah.
A lot of boys and girls went out. That was above at the Kingdom Corner, wasn't it?
That's right.
Up along the street
Yes.
there. Boys and girls out working with the farmers.
That's right, yeah.
And did you enjoy farm work apart from the hardship of it? Did you like farming itself?
I did not like farming, but for the one simple reason, it was real slavery. I often had the farmer often said to me, coming out of the field from the rain, coming to the yard, it wouldn't be rain at all inside in the yard. Yeah.
So you stayed there till about 17 or 18, did you?
That is correct, yeah.
And what happened then? What did you do?
I stayed there until I had around £7 in my pocket. The fare that time to go to England was less than 4.
When did you go to England? Do you remember?
1959.
And how did you go? Did you go by boat?
Oh, by boat, yes.
Rosslare, was it?
Yes, from Rosslare, yes.
Was it to London you went, Con?
I went to London, yes. Yes.
I had you someone over there?
I had relations there, all right, and I stayed with them for about a month.
And where were they living? What part of London?
They were living in Stamford Hill.
What did you go working at over there, Con?
I went working in the building trade that time. The first man that hired me, it was a subcontractor by the name of McCarthy. Came from Limerick.
And did you enjoy London? Did you like the London scene?
I enjoyed London. I enjoyed working in London because you meet people from all over Ireland, and the crack used to be fairly good.
I was in the buildings, I would say.
In the building side. But for the small time that I was in the building, I took up bar work at night, along with working in the building, and it was mostly the weekends.
Did you enjoy that?
I did enjoy it all right, but you had no entertainment like.
Yes.
You were finished in the building with a Saturday evening, probably 4 o'clock and went on working the bar at 8 o'clock in at night.
You were a good worker, I mean, you were working
Yeah,
all the different hours. You were looking to make a career in the building, so
that's right, yes.
what did you do then?
I met a foreman, an Englishman. He said, Pat, do this, Pat, do that. I didn't like to be called Pat. I said to him one day, I can't do it. Oh, yes, you can, he said. And I was able to do it. He explained me down. I thought he was a wonderful man. But he said to me, Pat, would you ever think of going to school? And I said, what do you mean? He said, see, no insurance card, you're very near the college in Wisdom. Would you go in there? He said, and I look after you. And I done that.
That was a technical college, was it?
Technical college.
And what did you
And
do?
I picked up the carpentry trade there.
And did you do that for long in the college?
I went to night classes there.
For how long?
That's for roughly 8 months, 3 nights a week. I was only there in the college for about 2 weeks, and I went back to, I was with that foreman all the time, and he said to me after 2 weeks, you went to college? I did, I said. And he was checking me out, and I went to college then, and I'm going to let you go, he said. After 2 more weeks, he said, I'm going to let you off, he said. And you stay off, he said. And I said, that's a nice thing to tell me. After telling me go to college? Yes, he said, I'm going to sack you, he said. And he said, you have 2 more weeks here, I have 3 weeks here. And I'm taking you, he said, a third-year apprentice in a block of flats in St. Paul's.
As a third-year apprentice carpenter, is it?
Yeah, and I never looked back. When I was coming home on holidays, I told the foreman, I'm going on holiday in such a time. And I thanked him what he done for me. And I said to him, how can I pay you? I need a bit of the home cure Irish bacon, he said. Which I bought from a farmer in Milltown, brought it back to him.
He was delighted with that.
He was delighted with that.
And where was he from, that man?
I don't know where was he from.
Was he an Englishman or
Oh, he was an Englishman, yes,
Yeah.
but big man, a gentleman, a great way of getting him to do work without any hassle.
Of course, you were exposed to a lot of different types of work in London, then, can't you know,
Exposed
being in
to
the city.
different types of work.
So it was great experience as well,
Great
wasn't it?
experience, yes.
You said you lived with your relations for a while. Where did you move to after that then?
I moved to Wisdom
Yes.
and Copper Road. My landlady there was Mary O'Connor. She was from Killorglin, from Sunhill, and I gave over 6 years there.
And was there anyone else in the house lodging, as you just said?
Oh, there were a lot of people in Killorglin, and I got to know Killorglin people from there. There was Mickey McCarthy, he's from Sunhill. Mickey was always very well dressed, very well dressed.
And what did Mickey do? What was he in the buildings?
Mickey was on the buildings,
Mm-hmm.
and remember when we go into the bar, Mickey'd be there, there'd be Thomas Connor, the landlady's brother, and myself. He was married to a Galway lady. She'd be talking about the scenery in Galway. No, you never see scenery, he'd say to her, having a hand out. You should be in Kerry, in Killorglin, looking out at the sea. And we had a great crack about it.
Who else was staying with you that time?
We had Johnny Murphy, Johnny from Street Row.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And after a long weekend, we'd go downstairs to the landlady and the husband, and we might be singing for a couple of more hours. We'd say to the landlady, we'll go down for the clock house to the off license. And we could give 2 more hours singing away.
He was an all-round man, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
And a good singer too, Johnny.
He was, yes.
And was Johnny working in the buildings?
Johnny was working the buildings. Johnny got married in England.
His wife Hannah is a local lady here to us,
She's
isn't
a
she?
Killorglin woman, yes.
Yes. Another well-known Killorglin man out there, of course, was Butty Shukra.
Butty Shukra, yes.
Did you ever drink in his pubs, any of his pubs over there, Con?
I went to Butch's in Camden Town once or twice. Yes.
What were your impressions of him?
If you wanted to have the crack in you should go to Butch's. Lots of people tell you from around this area, Killorglin, Midtown, you weren't in England unless you weren't in Butch's pub.
And so it lived up to its reputation, did
It
it?
kept up to
There was great crack in there, was there?
That was great with the Galway, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose the big place that time was the Galtymore. And we had the Bamba in Kilburn with Jody. I'd always remembered the Bamba for one thing. I was friends with a lady from Clare. We were working up in Mill Hill at the time, and we went out to strike for more bonus. And we thought we were doing great. We all got sacked Friday. We went on the beer, and I was meeting my lady friend that night, and we were going to the Bamba. I got the ticket to the door. That time in the Bamba, you'd hold on to your ticket, there'd be a draw in the Bamba. It would be 5, start off with a 5, if it would one, it would be 10, and one, keep going up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a man that was doing MC in the Bamba that time, Jody, he said, for the last time I'm calling. And I said, I have it. Put up my hand and went onto the stage, and I was still looking for the ticket. And I have to find the ticket in my pocket, my top pocket, and pulled it out. But there was 3 boxes. He'd ask you which box was the money in. 1, 2 or 3. I picked out the box in, and there was £75 inside the box. That was in 1963.
That was nice money, huh?
That was big money.
That was a consolation after being sacked.
That was a consolation after being sacked. So I said to the lady friend, we'll go for Ireland on a holiday. And I have been home for Puck Fair. I was only gone back a couple of months, and I came back to Milltown. The late Barney Woods in Milltown said to me, you must have a great job in London. Well, he said, you were at home there, he said, a couple of weeks ago, he said, you were spending money. You were still spending money, he said, but I never thought if I won the 75.
You kept that to yourself, huh?
I kept that to myself.
No, another well-known dance hall out there, of course, was the Gresham and the Holloway Road.
The Gresham and Holloway Road, and Delphin Castellan, and owned by the Case's name.
You went to all these halls,
Yeah,
of course. You
yeah.
were always very interested in dancing, of course.
Yeah.
Would you be working 6 days a week over in the buildings that time?
I mostly worked 7 days in the building.
Did you work 7 days?
I wouldn't stay in a job unless I got 7 days.
Really?
Yes.
And what hours would you be working during the day? What time would you start in the morning?
You see, it's not so much the start in the morning, but in London, you could give 2 hours travelling in the morning. That would make a long day. I often got the minibus at 6 o'clock in the morning in Cricklewood Broadway. I wouldn't get back till 7:30 at night.
Long day, wasn't it?
That was a long day.
Now, you were also at a big event in 1963, and that was the Henry Cooper, and at that time he was Cassius Clay, their boxing match.
That is correct.
That was in Wembley.
That was in Wembley, yes.
And you were at, that was the famous boxing match where Cooper nearly knocked Clay out, or Muhammad Ali. It's become known afterwards.
I remember Henry Cooper saying that he put down Cassius Clay, but he also said, would I keep him down? And Cooper did put down Cassius Clay, but like that he didn't keep him down.
Clay got up.
Clay got up, yeah. Cooper was a great boxer. I thought Cooper was a great boxer. And everyone knew his fault. They all went for his eyes. He was easily cut.
He had a very famous left hook.
He had
Cooper,
very
yeah.
famous left hook.
There was obviously a massive crowd at that match. And you used to go to boxing, Conor, or was it just that you went to that because of who was fighting?
There used to be wrestling in the Holloway Road. There used to go to the Kilkenny block. And we just went to that. We said we'd go to see that. And we were able to, he was able to get a ticket for it. So I got a ticket for both of us, and I went to see that.
But that was a great match to be at, of course, that night. The famous match went down in history. And you used to come home very often during the year when you were in London, Con. You said you were home for Puck Fair, used to?
I'd come home every 12 months. I'd own 2 pucks and Christmas then. The first time I came home was at Christmas, after 12 months, from January till December.
So you must have been very content over there, really, when you gave the full 12 months. Or this is just you were very busy?
Well, you'd be always anxious to make money. You know, go for it. You could have your room or your flat, you know, at that time. I remember Mary Connor, our landlady from Killorglin. It was 30 shillings that time a week.
That was full board, was it?
No, just for your room. But she was very good to us. she'd do the shopping for us. She'd put on our dinner because she'd know the time we'd been every evening.
Do you remember what kind of money you were on when you went to England, Con?
£2 10 shillings a day. Really, while we'd be looking for the 6 and 7 days in the building, you get a job and finish for Saturday and Sunday. So if we finished it in 3 hours, you would go home.
And were you able to save money?
Yes, very good at him, yes.
Yeah.
Saved a bit of money that time, all right, yes. Yeah, the money was small, but cost of labour was very good at him.
And was there plenty of work in London in the 60s?
There was plenty of work in
Everywhere and anywhere?
Everywhere.
So it was true to say that if you would finish in a job today, you'd get a job again tomorrow?
Get a job again tomorrow.
Would you, yeah?
Yes.
And of course it was all Irish employers, was
Yes.
it? The buildings, was it?
Yes.
All Irish contractors, was it?
Yeah.
You see work for firms?
We worked for firms and we worked for subcontractors.
You were doing both, so were you?
Yes.
Yeah. So Con, you said you went over to England in 1959 and you stayed over there, you said, until 1966. How did it come about that you came back to Ireland in 1966?
I came home on holidays in 1966 and I went into Killorglin. Actually, I called to the Fresh Bridge where construction of Fresh Bridge was going on, and
That's out past the Gleneagle there?
out past the Gleneagle.
Yes.
And I met a few friends of mine there, and the general former, which was Donald Houlihan. His son is famous man the rugby today. Killorglin was his father, and this is Donald, the son is involved in the rugby. I have to see him there now on television.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, "You're looking for something?" So I said to him, "I look for a job." Right, he said, "You can start." He said, so I told him my tools in England and all this, and I went back to England. I've been in there for about a week after, came back and started work with Askins.
And were you glad to be back in Ireland again at that stage?
It's hard to settle down in Ireland in the building from the crack to be in the buildings in England.
Mm-hmm.
You'll meet more people.
Yeah,
I found it a big change, and it takes you a bit of time. The contractor on that bridge was Askins in Dublin. Their offices is quite close to the Red Cow roundabout.
In Dublin, yeah.
Yes, that used to be their offices. And I moved around with him a lot. I went to Campide Power Station with him. I gave a few years in Campide Power Station in Wexford. Yeah, and Talbot Power Station was stopped in, and I wanted to get the transfer back to Kerry. And Donald Boland, which was the foreman in Campile, Kerry man from North Kerry, he wouldn't give me the transfer. He said, "We're going on to Danesborough to another power station." So I packed up, and after a week or so I got into Talbot Power Station, came with the same firm.
The jury there, yeah.
I did, yes.
And were you up there long?
I gave 3 years in Talbot Power Station.
That was a good run, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
We used to travel from Killorglin to Talbot Power Station. I was living in Memphis Street at the time.
You got married in what year?
I got married in 1968.
You married your wife to Kathleen, so 1968.
Yeah.
And where were you living when you got married? Where were you living?
We were living in Memphis Street in Killorglin. We had a rented house there.
Whose house did you up there at that time?
W. McCarthy's, late W. McCarthy.
And where was that house, Con?
It was the second last house. Steve McMahon was the last house, and I was the next house to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So you lived there for a few years, did you?
We lived there for 2 years.
You bought your site here, then did you, down here in the Ballykissane Road?
I bought a site in Ballykissane Road.
So it was your intention to build your own house, was it?
It was my intention to build my own house, yes. I always thought that paying rent is dead money.
So when did you actually start building here?
I started building here in '69.
And did you stay at it full time, or were you just doing it in the evenings?
Only in the evening and the weekend. I give about 2 weeks off work altogether, where is that? And I done a weekend. There was one man that could be a great hand roofing and everything. The late Pa Houlihan, your father. I worked with him and we got on very well. So Pa gave me a great hand.
And do you remember some more of the people that worked in the house here over the time, Con?
Mick Stack on the block worked for me.
That's Mick Stack from Dukes, is
Mick
it?
Stack from Dukes. And at that time, the load of blocks, if you tipped outside the road, there was no base at all. Bales be tipped outside the road. And the funny thing about it is, they were falling the wrong way. When they stopped outside the road to take them off the cut, be barrowed in and put up in a scaffolding, the block there to be there waiting for him.
You were busy. Yeah. It was busy work and hard work.
And it was hard work, and he was there at the price.
When did you move into your house here then, Con?
I moved into the house in, I'd say, 1970 or either 71, some of the two.
So you weren't that long really building it and getting it up?
No, about a year and a half.
And was the house, as I say, fully finished that time when he came in? Or
it was fully finished.
Was it really?
Yeah.
All the family were born here, Con, were they?
One was born in Lamphey Street. My two daughters were born here.
Linda is in Canada.
In Canada.
What part of Canada is she in?
Quebec.
And how long has she been out there?
13 years.
And Elaine then?
Elaine is in England. Elaine is over 20 years in England.
She's in London, is she?
She's in London, in Wimbledon.
Well known for tennis down around there.
Yeah, that's right.
A big interest by you, of course, Con, something we have to touch on too, is always been involved in the Fine Gael party here in Killorglin for many years.
I remember being in Killorglin one night and met late Matty Cronin, Duffy's paper shop. And we must have a drink. Matty being a Milltown man, and we were always great friends. And he said we'd walk downtown. Little did I know that was the county. You went to Fine Gael branch, had a meeting, and I went into it. And there's a good many of them now. The great lady that time in the Fine Gael branch was Josie Houlihan.
That's Josie Billow and Douglas, yes?
Josie Billow and Douglas. You had Mike Marathi from Allentown Road. You had the Lincoln brothers, Lincoln's Cross.
On the Glenbeigh Road.
Yeah. You had the late Matty Cronin.
This is the early 1970s, was it?
Very early 70.
And what state was the Fine Gael party locally here in Killorglin that time?
Very small, and financially it was very, very bad. And the first meeting, I'd say, I went with the late Matty and all them people in them there. I'd say we were talking about 20 people. Very lucky. I remember Gareth Fitzgerald then come in for our leader, Fine Gael leader, and they proposed me director of elections with the late Michael Begley, and Mike Reardon had the Ford's Bar that time.
That's Mike from Sunhill, is it?
Mike from Sunhill, yes. And we brought a meeting to the Ford's Bar. Just before the general election, before Gareth Fitzgerald got in, Mike said, I can't allow the meetings to go upstairs, he said, because I'm afraid of the building will collapse. We're going to 60 people. And how I know well about the 60 people is, we brought up how we get money for the branch. So we debated this, Mike and myself, and we thought with 60 people. We asked them now, would everyone of them, would they be willing to put our name in a pound note? And we put it all into a hat. And whatever name had come out, they get half the takings and their branch would get out of it. It went off like wildfire. We collected some money that time.
The ID caught on well.
The ID caught on very well.
And where did you have that draw?
We had to leave the forge and went to the castle, Marlow Biles.
Yes, that's on the corner between Market Street and Connor Gap.
Yes, correct, yes.
Today, yeah.
And I remember I used to always do the draw, go around with the hat, and I put in the money. I'd nearly say the first night, first winner was a daughter of Peg Bruston's. She was very young. I asked her to draw the ticket, and then she drew her one day out of it. As the man said, you would shuffle out tickets and that was it.
That was the look at the draw.
Yes, that was the look at the draw.
You've canvassed the whole parish, I'd say, in your time, have you?
I did. I done a lot of canvass.
And when would you start before an election canvassing?
Between a month and 3 weeks, out.
And you had to go around to every house in the parish and canvass the vote. I mean, you go cross party, don't you? You go to every house, would you?
You go to every house. You go to every house and you'd have to take the good and the bad and that's it.
Was politics hot back then, Con?
Politics were very hot at that time.
Was it? Even in the 70s, was it?
Very, very hot. Yeah. Like, what's happening today, the youngsters are not they're way cooler about it, they don't mind them, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're different out today, which was very hot.
So you wouldn't be invited in for tea in every house now?
No, but I'll tell you something. You have great people in politics that gets involved in canvassing and everything, you know. But I suppose it's like the footballer. You have a good canvasser and a bad canvasser. They all try to do their best, like everyone's trying to do their best when they're out canvassing. But I was often told to get out of the house. And we're looking for a vote, to get out of the house. And you know what I used to say to him? When I get a cup of tea, I'll go away. And I got it here, and I got to vote after. And I got to vote after. Yeah.
So you fell out with no and over.
Fell out with no.
That's the best thing about it.
Fell out with no.
Are you still involved in politics today?
I'm still involved with it, yes. I said 1970.
2017 now, that's 47 years.
47 years.
Yeah. And of course you're related to one of our TDs here
That's
as well,
right.
Brendan Griffin.
Yeah, Brendan Griffin, yes. I think now it's time for me to call it a day now.
You're still enjoying it, I think, and you're still...
Yeah, I've still enjoyed it, yeah. I've said the last time now I'll do it no more, and so I done it again. And
do you think people are still interested in politics today, Con? Do you know people, when you go to doors?
the younger people are not.
No.
No. Even talking to Fianna Fáil people, they'll tell you it's very hard to get out to youngsters.
Now, a tradition they have here with every general election is, and they say it's unusual insofar as up at the polling station, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil and
Labour,
they all stand across the road.
they do, yes.
And there's that whole banter that goes on during the day.
That
isn't
is,
it?
yes.
You wouldn't see that in a lot of towns, would you?
No.
Do you think that young people are as interested in politics today as going back a long time?
No.
Why is that?
The youngsters, they'll vote me for the person, the local person. They only come to meetings. It's all the older crowds come to meetings all the time. Even the great Fine Gael man told me that back a few weeks ago. We can't get youngsters here to come to the meetings.
Why do you think that is, Con?
They don't seem to be interested in it, you know. Going back time with neighbours, they might have a fallen out for a month before the election and maybe a month after the election. They'd be the best of friends and again.
Yeah, till they all fall back in again.
Yeah, they all fall back in again.
And I suppose a lot of the truth of it is, Con, that most people have they're voting cross party anyway, aren't they?
Yes.
You know, if you're voting 1 down to 10, they're all voting cross party.
Yes.
A lot of people are really, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, another great interest in your life, of course, Con, has been the GA. You've been interested, especially in football, all your life.
I always remember when I came into Killorglin in 1968. We went to Munster final in Cork to Crowley, Morris Harmon, late Morris, and I brought Podge Freeman and John Foley, and I had a Volkswagen Beetle, and they travelled with me, Volkswagen Beetle car. Before we came to Ballyvourney, there was a funeral on there, and we travelled for the Munster final, and the traffic was held up. But someone said we could detour, and we came right out in the centre of Ballyvourney again, and my Volkswagen gave up. It's a Crowley, could still tell you this. They told me keep going. I said I can't go no further. And we pushed the car across the road and went into a bar. And we met this fella and I told him my story. He said, that's the garage man, that's the mechanic there. And I told him my story. I got his start, I said that in the garage, he showed it in for me. We stood that man fairly waiting there. And we went off for Cork, we went off for the battery again. I think the same day Cork beat Kerry, they gave me an order hiding. I don't think the Kerry team went in at all at half time. I remember Mick O'Connell, Mick Dwyer, all them fellas playing, the late Paul Dunno, he was full back.
Johnny Quality, as you mentioned there, and goal, of course.
Johnny Quality, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When we'd be going to the matches, as I myself, whether it be in Killarney or not, we couldn't go straight. We'd have to go with a bit down first to Latkins for the beer.
Is that right? Yeah. All great footballing pubs, of course.
Yeah, all great footballing pubs. And we'd be good for them.
You get an old bit of fuel in first, would
we
you?
go from there, all bit of fuel, from there to the Charlie Fall is.
A great Killorglin pub, of course.
Great Killorglin pub.
Yeah. What player would you rate is the best of all time in your estimation of players you've seen over your lifetime?
It's very hard to rate a great player now. We'd have to go back. You had a great Mick O'Connor. You were a great player. When Darrell Shea came up, a great centre field man. We had great forwards, the present day, the Gooch, right, with Mikey Shea, I remember all them forwards. But my daddy, the whole lot of them was, he never worried about a man, was the late John Egan.
Oh yes, of Sneem.
From Sneem. I remember one day, and I was sitting above in Cork, and John Egan was going down along the line, Solon, and there were two Cork fellas following him, and they're shouting to put him out over the line. But I failed to put him out over the line.
Very strong player, wasn't he?
A fair strong player altogether. It's very hard to pick the greatest, you know what I mean, and
you mentioned there Mikey Sheehy, but of course he had a local connection here too in Milroy.
Mikey Sheehy's a local man.
Yeah, local.
Mikey Sheehy, his father Killorglin man, and his mother a Milltown lady.
Of course they nearly had the 5 in a row that time.
They nearly had a 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 82.
Yeah. But what I'm delighted about the last Sunday's game at Kerry Road, there seems to be kicking the ball. I hope Morris Fitzgerald, the new selector,
Yes.
is after telling them this. I don't like the basketball game.
You thought it was a better
All
style
the
of
way
football
better
again.
altogether.
Back to the old style
Because
again.
if you kick the ball, when you get it, you're given no one time to cover up. Where if you're solid along and passing the ball and all escaping, they're all caught up, they're all get to. It's a way of faster game, of course. It is a way of faster game, there's no get away from that. But going back then again, how many Kerry footballers in another county been as well? They might be out ploughing the field. And they played that football match the following day.
Different generation, yeah.
Yeah.
Of all the Irelands, does anyone stand out for you?
The 75 Kerry team there with Dublin, the big of Dublin. That was a great Kerry team, don't I mean? Now going back, the 55 Kerry team, Devon was supposed to be ahead of it. It was the Dublin machine that team, Kevin Heffernan, right?
He became manager afterwards, yeah.
But Kerry beat him that day. With John Down and all, the late John Down and John Cronin and all.
And you mentioned there John Cronin from Milltown. How did you rate him as a footballer, Carl?
Oh, John Cronin's a great footballer. John Cronin's a great footballer. Great back. I remember Johnson one time in Milltown. He said if a player soloed in front of him, he'd kill him stone dead. He's that's enough and insult any football. He don't mind the player catching the ball and kicking the ball, he said, and beating into it. He said, don't solo in front of me.
That's the total insult, is it?
That's the total of John Cronin.
Yeah. Where was he living in Milltown, John?
John Cronin lived in Ballybryan. Yes. And John Cronin's an army man. John Cronin played for Cork, and then he played for Kerry, came from Kerry.
How did he play for Cork?
Because he was in the army in Cork. Yeah, I don't know how long he played, but he played for county. And John had brothers that played for Cork County.
Is that
in
right?
the army, yes.
All right, yeah.
Yes.
And what about Lone Rangers then? Can you followed the fortunes of the local team as well?
I followed the fortune of the local team, yeah.
And would you still go to a lot of local games?
Oh, I would, yes.
Would you go to all the home fixtures here now?
I would, yes, all the home fixtures.
Of course, you were up at the 96 Ireland Club final, were you?
That's right, yeah.
And
Yes.
did you go to all the big games that Kerry there from up to 82?
I did, with all those games, yes.
And where used you stay in Dublin in those days, Con?
I stay with my sister-in-law and husband, named Gannon. They were living out in Tanneo. Of course, we did for the city on the Saturday night.
Yeah.
Then, Sunday night, I might stay in Winds with Edson, Moss Harbin, and Morris Roach.
Upper Bridge Street?
Yeah. Great weekend, yeah. If you talk to the Kerry people at Barman, some of them have their own bars there, and talk to them, and they'll tell you, unless Kerry's in there, then they don't have a good weekend in Dublin. They don't have a good weekend in Dublin.
And they were always trouble-free weekends, weren't they?
They were always trouble.
There was always good humour and everything.
They were
wasn't there?
always trouble-free weekends.
You know. How would you travel up, Con? Would you go by car or by train, usually?
Well, when my wife and family were young, I take the car, I'd always go midweek.
Would you make a few days of it?
Yeah, and I went and come down again the midweek the following week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I remember one time we were working in Killarney and it was coming up to the All Ireland. My wife and the kids, I put them on the train in Killarney. We were late going out that morning and I rushed in to Killarney. I defeated 50 car. But if I turned it off, it wouldn't start paying change for me. So I got him on the train and the next week the train started moving and I on the train and my car outside the station ticking over. And I came off on Rathmore and I always remember he asked me for my ticket and I told him where to go and came out on the road and I was tumbling and I was standing outside this gate and the woman said to me, put her head out the window, she said, if we want to get away from my gate, I'll put a dog after you. And the next day was a car coming from the creamery, picked me up and he said he was going into Ballykissane Road in Balladose someplace. And I got out and there was a lorry came around the corner, cattle truck, and I tumbled him. And he said, where are you going to? And that was a cold morning too, and I'm in short sleeves. Mm-hmm. I had nothing to put on me to drive around the car. And I'm going to Killarney. And first he was thinking, where was I going to Killarney? Was it in the big house? And he never said he wanted to lift me off of Killarney. My car was still running away.
Was it?
It was still running away.
Nobody ran off of the car?
Nobody ran off the car and after. And you know who was in the train the same morning?
Yeah.
Not him, not my wife as well, but Mrs. Sheehy,
Is that
the
right?
being corner. She was in the train as well the same.
They'll after that going up on
They'll
your
after that going up, yes.
No, you have a great interest always in dancing. Is it ballroom dancing or what style of dancing?
I do a lot of sit dancing, polka sets, everything. Yeah, I'd be dancing 3 nights a week. We do sit dancing, waltzing, quick steps, everything.
Now, there was a great tradition here in Killorglin always of good dancers really going back over the years, wasn't there?
There was, yes. I remember the waltzing competition on the Washeen Ballroom. And your Uncle John, he was a great dancer. And we were all in here for the competition. And they tell you, you get off now on the floor. But the final came down in here. The 2 couples that was on the floor was John Houlihan and Bridie, Johnny Murphy. And I'm not sure what was Johnny's wife, I'm not out with him at the time, but John Houlihan didn't get a great clap at all. He was a better dancer than Johnny, and now Johnny's a good dancer, I'm not saying he's not, but they wrecked the place with Johnny for clapping. Johnny won the prize.
Johnny took great pride in
that. And talk about going back to the Washeen. I was working above in Duffy's, Matty Cronin's, and we're out the back. And whatever look I gave in the ground, and I still have it. I pass out the Washeen Ballroom, Puck Fair, 1953. I still have that.
Have you really? Yeah.
Yes. When we were going to dance that time, the dance was on at 3 o'clock in the morning.
God, it was tough going for a band, wasn't it? Just to keep going all night, wasn't it?
It was like going for the man to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go and work. And I go and work with the farmer.
No bother.
Yeah. But the big bands, that time, like McDill Hunting and all them, Morris Mulcahy, I'd be on at 3 o'clock, there were 5 shillings.
Did you dance all those bands? You did?
I did, yes.
Did you really?
I did,
yeah.
I went to Morris Mulcahy, I went to Ballybunning dancing.
Did you? They were all big bands at that time.
They were all big bands at the time.
McDillahunty was very big, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
The Clipper Calton here, and I remember all them.
Mm-hmm. The Rhythm Aces, you remember the Rhythm Aces?
Yes.
They were the big local bands.
They were, yes, big local band, yeah.
No, and name you mentioned there from Middletown, of course, a few times in our talk, Con, is Matty Cronin.
Yeah.
Now, Matty Cronin told me one night his father brought the most cattle into Puck in his day, into the cattle fair, and he used to put them up the laneway there next to Ozanam House there, up by the back of Francis, he said.
Yeah.
Were there many cattle, would you say, at that time? 50,
It
100?
was a full big number of cattle that time. Yeah, about 50 or 60 cattle.
Big.
Matthew Cronin's father came from Glencar.
Did he really, yeah?
He did, yeah. He bought a place in Milltown.
A bit of farm over there, is
Yeah.
that?
We used to be going home from Puck Fair, and the family would be driving the cattle into Puck Fair from the night before. And there's the one thing when you work with the farmer, you get the 3 days of puck off.
Did you always, yeah?
We'd pay.
That was part of the contract, was it?
That
Part,
was-
of,
that should be
the, part
the-
of the agreement, was it?
Part of the agreement, yes.
You'd always get puck off, yeah.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. Now, up to today, Con, you're still very active. You've always worked very hard, haven't you?
I have interest in the house, and great interest in the house, and did you have something to do? Don't come near me. I'm very bad for it that day.
Yeah.
You would say the bad day now, what have I to do with the bad day? I can go to the garden and get something to do.
And of course, a big part of your life too, and your great interest is the turf cutting.
You know, a turf cut, yes.
You cut your own turf every year, do
I
you?
cut my own turf, still cutting it this long. There aren't too many of us up in Owlock now. But 2 years ago, Pat Connor came over to me and as a man said, I've cut around the block now.
Pat is the owner of the bogs up.
Pat was his father before and Michael Connor, a very lovely man. All the Connors are lovely people. I was looking at the book, he said. Belonged to the old man, he said. You're 40 years inside here now, he said.
Cutting turf every year, is
In
it?
the one spot.
Is that
40
right?
years.
That's a great record, isn't it?
That's his record.
And you have cut turf every year.
Cut turf every year.
And you do it all yourself, cleaning the bog?
Most of myself.
Do you, yeah?
Yes.
You formed the Turf Cutters Association there a few years ago.
We formed the Turf Cutters Association. And with him down from RT, David Handy and everything. Actually it was Brian McCarthy and so.
There was a few programs done by you, weren't there? Above it all.
Yeah.
That was in the 90s, 94 I think, and
That
96.
was, yeah. I'll always remember Veronica Gaden was supposed to be down on Saturday and she got shot up a Wednesday.
God love her, yes. That was June 96.
That's right. God love her, that's right. She was supposed to be down with us.
Was she at that, doing that was she, for the independent, I
She
suppose?
was, yeah. Going back then again, and too many of them living. You had Mike Perry Shea from Limbe.
Yes. The well-known Mike Perry.
Yeah, you had Mike Shea, Brady Holden's brother.
Shanra.
Shanra.
Yeah.
Dead Lawrence Mr. Joe Crone is dead. Mikey Connor is dead. Yeah, Mick Leary was there, Mick ex-sergeant. He with us all the time, and Jim Sullivan.
Jim cuts every year too, this year.
Jim cuts every year.
And you're all cutting the traditional way with the slawn.
With his lawn, yeah.
Yes.
You know, people says to me, why are we doing that one too? Buy it rather tougher. If I didn't like doing it, I wouldn't do it.
So it's more of a hobby too, as much
It's
as...
more of a hobby to me.
Yeah. You enjoy going up
I'm
there?
quite happy above there, I'm happy out. I could put on the radio and stay on my own, no trouble in the world.
And would you boil the kettle up there?
Oh, I buy the kettle, I have my own little gas and all, and
Do you, yeah.
I came back in alongside it, very close with the van, put on the radio and
And of course, Owlock is one of the great boglands around here.
all up is one of the great bowling. And you're looking down from where I am now, I can see the lakes of Killarney.
Lovely setting there.
Lovely sitting there like it, and down into Killorglin. What's a great landmark now is the turbine here in
Oh, in Killorglin.
Kings, yeah.
Yeah, the wind turbine.
yeah.
And Con, in its heyday, were there many cutting turf inside Owlock Bog, would you say?
Or Saturdays. You know something, you'd hardly get parking.
With all the inside cutting it?
Yes. Because when I went in off the road, everyone bringing their car. My friend had to turn the ground, be too soft inside. The turning, the place would be black there.
Last year now, were there many cutting up there, would you say?
There ain't 3 or 4 of us now, of course.
Is it down to that, yeah?
Down to it, yes. There'd be a couple of hundred there. Mikey Connor, of course, he was over 300 acres, bog.
And would he mark out the bog?
Well, he'd mark out.
He'd mark out what you were allowed.
There's so many spades.
So if you're cutting a trailer turf, what area of ground would you be marking out really, yeah?
Depends on the depth of the bog then again.
And is there a good depth in above Owlock Bog?
Yeah, but the more depth is in the bog, the more men you want, the harder it is to cut. For a low bog, you see, if Sure bog, which I have, 6 odds.
That's a deep bog, isn't
That's
it?
a very deep bog. I know when I built it out this year, but I done it last year, like that. I turned up the fourth side after Sloan, no Brincher.
Really? You were doing after Sloan?
After Sloan, yeah.
So you were cutting the sod with the Sloan and throwing it up?
Throwing it up as well. And I only see one other man is doing it, and that's Jim Sullivan.
Is that right?
Yeah. But Jim Sullivan can cut left and right. Jim's unreal to do it.
Is he really?
Yes.
He's a great tough cutter.
He's a great tough cutter, yes.
And Jim is up there every year, sir?
Jim is up there. Myself and Jim are side by side each other.
Mm-hmm. I suppose you have to ask yourself, which of the two of us will be the last here, huh?
I don't know.
In another month or two, you'll be off again to the bog, will you?
Anytime from March on.
Depending on weather, is it?
Depending on weather, yes.
And how much turf would you cut now, yourself?
I'd cut over 2.5 trailers.
Would you?
I would, yes.
Really?
And they say, people don't realise this, but I say I cut 2.5 trailers. But if we were selling that, you'd have 3 trailers. Because the trailer was selling not as big as what you would bring home for yourself. You keep sampling up and run to haul and
yes, yeah.
Try and make it in 2 journeys if you can,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you buy your trailer of turf, you get water level. Buy a nipple another half a trailer of turf up on top of it.
You clamp it up.
Clamp it up, yeah.
You clamp it up well
Clamp
inside.
it, yes.
There's an art and all that too, of course. You know, there's a sod stone fell off.
Yeah. The trailer turf you were buying there is a 10 by 6 trailer.
Yes. And how much is that? Can normally, what's the value of a trailer turf nowadays?
I was at 350, 400 now.
Yes, is it, yeah. Of course, there's a lot of work in it, isn't there, Con?
There's show work in it.
You know, there's a lot of...
There's show work in it. And I don't know, even I tell you today, a lot of them tell you today, even Pat Connor taught me, and he had his own bog. There's no money in cutting turf, is it? The amount of time I put into it.
But as you say, you enjoy it.
Oh, I enjoy it.
It's a way of life too now, isn't it?
Yeah.
A way of life too.
Yeah. It's like a set of potatoes, the small for a set of potatoes. You would buy them away cheaper.
You set your own spuds here
I
too,
set
don't
my
you?
own,
Every year?
every year.
Mm-hmm. What kind of spuds you set?
I'd set cappings, and I'd have potatoes, we say from July up to March.
Would you really, yeah.
I would, yeah.
You're self-sufficient in many ways, so...
Yeah, that's right, yeah. They were on there now last night on the TV. I think it's Galway. About the olden time bringing the seaweed for the potatoes. That was the menu there, you know. I brought it from Ballykissane last year.
You brought up
Seaweed, yes.
seaweed, did you really?
Yeah.
It's very good for
Very good for
spuds,
potatoes,
yeah.
Very, very good for potatoes, yeah.
Well now, Con, you're out to give me some lovely stories and some lovely memories of your life. And thanks very much indeed for talking to us.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome.